G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by my, I don't know, American counterpart. I don't know, how do I say that, Paul? Yeah.
Your American confidant. There we go. That's how it works. American confidant.
So, yeah. Just before we kick it off, Paul. So I'm doing this as totally unprompted, and you didn't know I was going to do this, right? But you know I've been doing these, right?
Yes.
And you know I was going to do one of these, but you didn't know I was going to do it this quickly.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So it turned out pretty good. I'll talk to you about it after the show, though. So Paul didn't know I was going to do this. Like, it's totally fresh.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. I'll talk to you about that after the show. Anyway, right. So we are going to be giving away Sulian if we get to 15k subscribers. So yeah, we're asking for people. We don't usually push for subscriptions, but yeah, if you like the video and you like what we do, consider subscribing. Ring that notification bell. And yeah, thank you very much if you do decide to subscribe, because we're trying to. We're not good at self promotion here. We're very bad at it. But yeah.
No, but if you like the video, it does help us out a lot. So if you do enjoy these videos, liking the video will tell YouTube algorithm that this is good, and it'll tell other people who also enjoy Star Citizen content like this that there are other people out there who should recommend this to. So as these get recommended out, it helps us get some more views, which grows the channel, which helps us overall keep these videos going at the pace we want to try to keep them going at. So if you do enjoy this, honestly, please like the video. And if you really, really want to hang out with us, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, which will tell you exactly when these come out. Because YouTube's really bad at it. It doesn't tell you when it comes out. When you hit the bell icon, it even only sometimes even does that. So if you really want to get the most out of our content, please do that, sort of thing. And of course, we're giving that giveaway. So
yeah, that's a good way to thank us. If you want to thank us for the help that we give you, like and subscribe. I think that's the easiest way I'd wrap it up. So yeah, all right,
absolutely free.
Yep, that's it. All right, let's kick it off over to the browser. Let's see if I butchered it, but we'll see. Oh no, yes, I did butcher it. See, I knew I was.
You did butcher it. It's okay.
That's all right.
2 seconds.
You're there.
There we go.
Bang.
Yay!
Cool. You're back. All right, so we're off to Invictus. Wrong screen, obviously. So today, we're at the Arrow, Paul. This is real meta, I think, at the moment. So generally, though, you and I don't know. Do you recommend ships? Are you like me and Arrow? You don't recommend cheaper ships? Like, what's your take on it?
I tend to don't recommend meta ships. I tend to not recommend ships in general. I wouldn't go out and buy the Arrow, especially with this. But if you already have an Arrow and you want to get a 10-year insurance on it, so you don't have LTI or anything like that, this is a great thing to like melt your Arrow and then buy it for $75. It gives you that 10-year insurance, which is nice. So,
and I'd definitely recommend this over, say, something like the Fury.
Oh yeah,
because it's got an like if you want the Fury with a quantum drive, I think this is probably one of the closest. And more
hydrogen fuel.
Yeah. I, honestly, though, for cheaper, I'd still recommend the Avenger. I think the Avenger does more than this. And the Fury, and it's cheaper. It's the same price as the Fury, so yeah. Vehicles is another thing. I don't think you're probably with us here as well, Paul. I've just realized these are all in American pricing, so they are a little higher than normal. Sorry, they're all in Australian pricing. I've just realized why they're a little more expensive. So yeah, just ignore the prices. I will try and fix that in the background. But Paul, what do you think of the Ballista?
Ballista's a great ship or a great vehicle for the kind of content that you want to do for if you want to do ground content, especially for Jump Town and stuff like that. But buying it, as always, it's not value. You're not really getting any value for your money because you can buy them in game for pretty cheap. And but it's good. It's a good ship to kind of look into. If you want something you can like 100% guarantee you always have it, and if you're just a really big fan of anti-aircraft fire missiles, torpedoes, there's nothing like working as a team with a ballista where you fire a size 7 missile at a target that's been kited over you and doesn't realize you're there until it's too late and they're already dead. It's so satisfying to watch them explode like that.
And if you are unsure of vehicles and stuff like that, when we say we don't recommend them based on value, you can try them for free at Invictus. That's what this whole event is for, so you can kind of try before you buy. So yeah, go try it out. It might be something that just speaks to you personally, but like when we're making those recommendations, it really is based on value. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's in a weird pricing position as well. And also, I would say the other thing to remember about the Ballista is that you need a ship to carry it.
Yes,
the only ship that can carry it is a Hercules. If you don't have a Hercules, it's not a lot of points. So
I think until really recently, you couldn't resupply it without taking it back to somewhere else to get the ammo too. But now you can technically put missiles on and off with the tractor beam. So there's a little bit of improvement in the latest patch. All right, the C8R. A lot of people reckon this is the best version of the Pisces because the medical, you can use it for, you know, healing yourself up at bunker missions. I can already hear Badges and John Citizen in my ear going, yeah, it's amazing. So it's a great little ship. Its price, and this is the same price as a Fury when you take it into the pack. Oh, actually, no, it's not because it doesn't come with a package. I take back what I just said. It's $10 more expensive than the Fury and the Avenger.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's also more expensive than the base version.
Yes,
so.
The base version's the one I'm thinking of. That's $45. I've mixed up my Pisces. That's what I've done wrong. Sorry. If you haven't figured out yet, guys, this is what sleep deprivation starts to do to me. Over time, I start to misconstrue things. So yeah, it gets there. But I have it a lot worse than... Well, these guys get there eventually over the 10 days, but I seem to get it faster because I have a sleep condition. So yeah. All right, so yeah, there's the Pisces that I was talking about, $45, and that's why I struggle with the price of the Pisces on these starter ships that actually come with a quantum drive, and they carry a bit of cargo, and they have, yes, a little bit less guns, but it just gives them more functionality.
It's a lot of people's favorite starter ship, so it makes a lot of sense. If you're looking for a starter ship that's not an Aurora or a Mustang, the Pisces is the easiest answer. I would say with the C8R though, the one thing I would worry about is that the C8R also requires, it's an okay ship. I wouldn't use it as a starter ship necessarily, but it's a great additional ship if you're going to be looking for like a Carrack, if you want to swap out that original expedition that is Pisces. The C8R, that's a great idea.
It kind of takes the role, and that's why I'm expecting some other variants of this down the line, is if you look at what the Carrack can do, it takes that medical thing that it's already got and kind of extends it. So I'm almost expecting that you could, like, the one we know that's coming that me and Algrid worked out is, and they even had it before this one went live in one of the ICs, was they had a scanning one, because you have to have a ship that goes through the jump point. Obviously, a Carrack can't go through small jump points because it's so large, so this is the natural ship that does that. And I think one of the reasons I'm drawn to the Pisces is it is that away mission craft from Star Trek. You know, it's the little shuttle.
It's a shuttle pod. It's almost exactly like a shuttle pod from Star Trek. Even it is the shape. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, the Carrack itself.
Meta.
This is so meta. It's a ship that people think can do everything. I think if I have to talk to the negative of the ship, the thing that most people don't see is it really is undergun for a ship of its size.
It requires actual crew. You can't fire solo with this ship. You need people to fight with it. So
and it's built around that. The way it works, you need people in the turrets because there's no primary guns for the pilot, as an example. But it is unparalleled in exploration. If you want your Star Trek ship, you want to go out and go where no man's gone before, this is the ship for that. And but know that you are out on your own, and the reason why it has repair facilities and medical facilities is because if things go wrong, you're in the black on your own. But some people that really appeals to. It's some people see that as a really high price tag, but this is when they looked into what people wanted to do in the game, exploration was the number. I think it was in the 70% or 70 to 80%, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
And when it came back, exploration was the main thing. So this becomes the most popular ship for so many people because that's the one they want to do. They want to do the Star Trek exploration.
Yeah.
And it also comes with the Pisces, and it comes with a rover. So, you're getting work that roughly out. That's almost $100 extra in value, or $95 extra in value.
On top of being those small drop pods will eventually be modular. So you're also looking at other possible modules that could be anywhere from extra space to power to refueling. It could be a bunch of different things we don't know yet.
I think it would more than likely. And you correct me if you think I'm wrong here. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think, like the Pisces going into the roles that the ship already does, I reckon the modules will go into that. So there might be a medical module, a cartography module, a repair module, things like that. I think it'll go along the lines of that Star Trek theme, taking what the ship already does and expanding it. And I think the ones it's got right now are just cargo. So yeah, all cargo.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Centurion, very similar to its bigger brother, I guess you could call it, Ballista.
Mhm.
Man, some of the names they put on these, I just think they were so better used elsewhere else. But anyway, I think this is
CIG is bad at naming. CIG is
it's
bad
terrible.
at naming.
Yeah. So where the other one has the problem of running out of ammo, this doesn't have that problem, but its problem is range. So I've actually had an arrow fly over to me and literally just sit there this far out of range and then just shoot at me and kill me because I can't reach it. It's just ridiculous. And it's also got a problem where it can't look completely vertical. And they know that, so they'll fly at you completely vertical and just start shooting you because there's nothing you can do.
It's got a lot of problems. It has some value, but you need to use them en masse, and there's a lot of problems when it comes to the what's called the Atlas system, which is the Centurion, the Ballista, and I believe the Spartan. Is it the Spartan? Yeah, the Spartan.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that one in a minute when it comes up. But the thing I want to point out, like the price of this is the same price as a freelancer. You know, and you can get a cutlass for $10 cheaper. So they are just
you can get a cutlass package for this. Yeah, it's for this price.
You can get the original freelancer packages with this price. They've gone up now, but yeah, that's crazy to me that they're actually selling vehicles for the same price of like multi-cruise ships.
For combat purposes, you could get I believe there once was a Gladius game package where you could get the game and the Gladius for cheaper, like $10 cheaper than this full price.
Yeah, it was $100. You're not wrong. It was $100. Yeah, and I think it was Legacy too, so it also came with Squadron 4. Don't quote me on that. I have to go double check.
Yeah.
All right. I can hear my little Algrid on my shoulder telling me, this is one of Algrid's and mine's favorite ship. Like the medical, everyone raves about medical, but your ships are going to break more than your people are, so to speak, right? So this is for me. This is the big, the Apollo, the Endeavor type thing, hospital ship, but for ships. And I just love the way this thing works and articulates, and it can drop off that the Scarab pod that it uses, and I just love everything about how this works. It really speaks to me. It's very technical, all these little arms that come off and does all these kind of little cool things. But Paul, most people know my take. What's your take on this? Because I don't think I've ever really kind of got you to delve into it too much.
Yeah, this is going to change. 100% going to change. We don't know if the arms are going to change. We don't know if the Scarab's going to be detachable in the future. We know that this will change, and already is changing, and will change. When repair proper comes out compared to what we have now. But almost certainly, this is an Endeavor class in terms of its underpriced. Almost certainly, the ship will get bigger. It'll get more expensive. It'll have more value to it because CIG wants to have drones attached to this thing, and it's not that big. It's one of those Endeavor problems where when it was first designed, it was much smaller.
Oh, okay, right. Now I get what I mean. I was going to say it's not that big. It actually, at its current sizing, it still falls into the large category.
Yes, but I mean, it's going to fall into the large category. I think more akin to like a Reclaimer than a Constellation, because the Constellation is the smaller of the large, and the Reclaimer is the larger of the large ships. So, or even like a Starfarer. This is around that. We're going to see it kind of grow, I believe, and with that in mind, it's going to be a value just in that it's going to get more expensive. On top of that, its value as a distant repair garage and docking facility is going to be immeasurable if you want to work with larger organizations out in the black. It is the ship you want at least one of in every organization. So if you're looking for money value, it's got a good money value. If you're looking for gameplay value, it's got good gameplay value, and it's not always sold. So
I think I'll only add two things to that I would have said exactly the same thing. Is if you own a capital ship, you pretty much need one of these, or you're going to be traveling potentially multiple systems to get to a repair facility. And then the second thing I would probably add is, like the Endeavor, it is going to grow because of the reconcept, and there's only 2 ships left of the old ones that they're because of the metrics changed that need to grow. That said, I don't think this will grow as much as the Endeavor, as in price-wise. Like the Endeavor's got some insane range to grow into. This is more likely to like a half the growth, maybe. I don't know.
But like $100, I think is what I'd guess. But still, that's $350 to $450. That's $100 if you're going to get this anyways, and buy it. You know, that's that kind of thing. And as always, I do want to caveat, because a lot of people don't seem to understand the context of what we talk about. We're talking about this in terms of if you already have the money in the game, or if you're already looking to spend the money in the game. This is what we're saying when we're talking about value, because it's like, this is something that has got a high value in terms of gameplay purpose. And of course, it will have high value. It's undervalued for its current price in terms of what it's going to eventually rise up to. So if you wanted to get it for the gameplay, boom. If you wanted to get it so you could CCU, chain, or kind of wiggle out what you need to in the future, you can do that as well. So
yeah, and I think I can hear Agro talking about loaners too. You do get loaners while you're waiting for this, but you are in for a wait with some of these bigger ships, obviously.
Oh yeah,
you know, so,
this is 2 years out minimum.
Yeah,
so and if that's the other issue.
Yeah, and if you're not prepared to wait, the other thing you can do is get a CCU. So you can get a CCU, say from the Gemini. Starfarer Gemini to this is $10, and you can just sit on that and then eventually turn a ship into the Gemini and apply this to it. So if this speaks to you and you don't have $350, you can spend just 10. And I think most people can afford $10 US. So that's a way to get around it. And that works on any ship, by the way, not just this one.
Yeah.
All right. The Hornet. The love child that has fallen out of favor with almost everyone, but I think it'll come around again, don't you, Paul? When armor comes in,
eventually, yeah. It'll find its place. It'll find its niche because they're changing the combat styles again, and they're changing flight characteristics again. And this is a ship it's critical, essential for Squadron 42. So if the Gladius, as we talked about last time, was the hero ship of Squadron, is the ship that's you kind of constantly get the latest updates. This is the secondary hero ship. This is the ship that will eventually have to grow with it, or have to kind of change with it.
I think it's
waiting for its time in the meta.
Well, we know there's a military variant that's kind of got an update and is a lot more polished than this, and that's what's going to be in Squadron 42. I think they'll take that and kind of come around and back when they actually work on Star Citizen. So there's definitely, like, go look at, you can find it. There are pictures of this military variant of this. I think if you take that and pair it with this, you can see what's going to happen. They will, it won't have the components of that, but I think you'll find it'll look more like that. Every ship is eventually going to get a gold pass as they roll them out. So that's probably what's due for this one, and I reckon that'll probably be in par when armor comes along. I think this is a high contender, as you said, with the hero ship mentality, to be one of those ships, potentially one of the first ones that they look at. Well, at least I fingers crossed, hope they do. All right.
Just for reference, by the way, that's the F7A2 is what it's called for that version.
Yeah,
this one is F7C, but the military version is the A2.
That's correct,
because it's got the version 2 of the A. So
C stands for civilian. I can't remember what A stands for. I think A is just because it's the first version. Armored, is that what it is?
Armored. It's supposed to be like our there's a Latin term for army which starts with an A, and I can't remember the thing. I think it's just like armor or something like that, but it's basically the same concept.
Makes a lot of sense though, because if you know your lore, this game is basically loosely based on the Roman Empire, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
as Paul knows. Sorry, I'm just stealing his thunder because that's my job. Right, the Wildfire. Kind of can't recommend this because you're paying for guns again. Any of that where you pay for guns and a skin, they don't seem to be very good value. And again, it's not the best looking skin, personally, but yeah.
You're not only that, you're paying $65 for armor for guns and a skin, which is way high compared to what you need to.
Which is I can't believe they haven't discounted this. It's literally lunacy.
Yeah.
This one here for $5 more, you actually get a whole second seat. Right. So this is probably the best version of the Super Hornet. Right. Hornet Tracker, again, a lot of these ships are going to get their time in the sun when it all comes around again. A bit of command Go ahead.
Yeah, they're waiting for gameplay is what they are.
Yeah. So a bit of command and control, obviously search and recon, you're playing the scout essentially in this. So I think this will be very cool because it's combat scouty, and we kind of have scouts, but we don't have combat scouty. So this does have a unique place. So it's kind of interesting.
It's the Terrapin with teeth is what it is,
well,
which is nice.
You can see this being like the communications / whatever in a squadron. So you have one of these. Yeah. It flies along with all the others, but it's getting things from the fleet, sending you guys messages, doing that type of thing. So he he's looking after you and you're looking after him type of thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Ghost Paul stealth variant. Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's a stealth variant. It's one of those things where we need to have the sensors in kind of update similar to the Saber. It's hard to recommend this over the Saber because the Saber is just has more guns and better power plant and is stealth by standard. This requires you to use stealth components as well as its own stealth, but it's not bad if you want that kind of gameplay.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw one of these two variants in game. I've seen this more than I've seen those, right? So that just shows you how rare they are. Like because people go to other options and stuff because they just don't have their gameplay, as Paul said. So yeah, Gladiator Paul. Me and Algrid love how clunky this is. Right? It's just something about when you fly it that's fun. Yeah,
I am responsible for the resurgence in the popularity of this ship. Right. I made a video on the lore of this ship, which is extensive because CIG made it a really awesome lore background for the Gladius or for the Gladiator, and it's one of the best organizations in the game. Squadron 214 is just fantastic story, tragic stories. The one thing I will say the Gladiator lacks right now is two things. Armor and flexibility. This ship screams multi-role fighter because it's effectively a Hornet plus. It's a Hornet that's designed to carry torpedoes, but in theory could also carry dumbfire rockets, bombs, extra fuel tanks. This thing is just an upgrade chassis, and in fact the little modular bay that holds the torpedoes is supposed to be again modular. There was a search and rescue module you're supposed to be able to put in there, a firefighting module you're supposed to be able to put in there. There's a ton of different opportunities. So the one thing I will say with this ship is if you like that style of gameplay and you are willing to wait that possible years before CIG actually picks this thing up and fixes it, you're probably going to get a little bit of discount, because I think when the Gladiator finally gets its glow up, it's probably going to go up in price to be more commiserate with the other bombers. Because right now it's probably the cheapest bomber, because I think the Harbinger is more expensive than this one. It's effectively a Harbinger.
Actually, I think the A2. I'd have to go double check the A2 price, but it's very similar. I think it's about the same ballpark. 175, I think, is the A1. Sorry, not the A2.
A1.
Yeah, I have to double check.
Difference is,
I don't have that one on my head.
The difference is the A1 will never be able to carry. I don't think it will ever be able to carry torpedoes. So that's the difference, I would say. It's the modular factor on that one. But in terms of the traditional space bombers, the Eclipse and the Retaliator and the Harbinger, this is probably the cheapest of those groups. So,
when I talked about clunkiness, it almost feels like a World War I fighter in a World War II game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, because there's something about that turret and the way you get into it and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool though. There's something still very cool. I remember me and Algrid going out doing a couple of missions in it. It's fun. It's undergunned in some ways, but it's still fun. And the animations of how it lands are still, all these years later, are really cool. Those wings split and legs come out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. The Hawk. This is a weird one for me, because when the next one after this, the Hurricane, I find this really weird. Now, the Hawk is $100, and the Hurricane is now gone up to $210. But in game, the Hawk costs more to buy in Alpha UEC than the Hurricane. So this is a very good value proposition, literally.
Yes, and the thing is that to understand about the Hawk is that the Hawk is on the cusp of greatness. It's already a pretty good ship. I've seen people use it for bounty hunting and just for regular combat fighting. It's capable at what it does. When Bounty Hunter version 2 comes out, which is sometime before, probably by the end of this year, maybe by 4.0. So within the next year of when this video goes out, this ship is going to be very valuable. the Starfarer or the Reclaimer or the Vulture, like those ships, or like especially the Reclaimer and the Vulture, had this huge. Suddenly, they're massively valuable because of what they do. That's what this ship is going to have. It's like, it's a decent fighter, but the second the Bounty Hunter version 2 comes out, this thing will be like, oh, you need this. This is going to be required for you to do that sort of gameplay loop.
That's going to happen.
One of the cheaper options. So
that's what's going to happen with a lot of ships, isn't it? They're going to have their renaissance. And again, like we were saying earlier, if you can't afford to buy the whole ship, or you just want to kind of like place a bet, get a CCU. You can probably get a $5 CCU from this. Or I know you can get a $10 one from a Gladiator, but I'm sure you can find a $95 ship that you can upgrade off. And it's the same thing with the Gladiator or any of the ships. If you think they're going to have a renaissance, put your money down on them and kind of hedge your bet. And if they turn out not panning out, you melt them and get your credit back and turn into something else. Yeah. So there's no reason not to place bets, so to speak. You know, if you've got a little bit of credit sitting there, and most of us long-time backers tend to have a little bit of credit sitting around, play some bets, you know, and it might bear some fruit for you down the line where you get a massive saving on something that turns out, if you're interested, like Paul said, it's bounty hunting. If bounty hunting is your jam, it's like maybe, you know, place a bet, see what happens.
Yeah, it's the most valuable other than the Stalker. It's probably give you the most value, and it also has an EMP generator, so it's like it's a better than the Stalker, and it's not quite as good as the Blue, but the Cutlass Blue is a little bit more multi-crew focused, so and a little bit more funky. So
you'd correct me if I'm wrong. I would say it's the most jack of all trades of the bounty hunter. Like, it does a little bit of everything. So the Mantis focuses just on the you know, the QED, and then we've got a Mantis one in the Warlock, but the Warlock would be the closest to this, I think. And then this is like an upgraded Warlock, and it's more towards the fighter side. So you've got this spectrum, but I think this is probably the most in the middle of all of them. It does a little bit of everything, but not anything particularly super well.
Yeah, if you want to just play as a bounty hunter, this is the starter ship for the bounty hunters. Again, I know the Stalker technically is, but like, this gives you all of the tools you need as a bounty hunter.
Yeah, you're a really good bounty hunter if you're getting 6 bounties when you go out at once to put in the Stalker. This has 1, right? This is a lot more realistic. Like, unless you're going out for multiple people, then wouldn't you just go out with that and a Warlock and you work together? Because generally, if you're going to go out on your own, you're doing a 1-on-1, but a 1-on-2 or 3, don't like your odds unless you're amazingly good. And I'm sure there are people who can do that, but as Paul said, starter ship. So yeah. All right, Hurricane. Now, Paul, I just want to ask you straight off the bat, why do you think they put this up in price? It went from what? It went up $15.
It's the most deadly PvP ship in the game. One of the most deadly PvP ships in the game. This thing will wreck your face with properly crewed. With 2 people, this thing will kill you in seconds. This is the most dangerous thing. Next to the Scorpius, this is and I think still is, CIG's even said multiple times, this is the meta ship. If you wanted to know a ship that was absolutely the ship to beat, it's this ship. Because it will just destroy light fighters if it gets too close. The downside is it requires another person, which you don't always have. So
I think
that's the reason why
people were buying this than the Scorpius.
Oh yeah,
I think they were expecting a lot of people to upgrade from this to the Scorpius, and they didn't.
No, because it's flat worse. It's worse than the Hurricane.
Well, it was pitched as a glass cannon when it first came out, right? But the funny thing is, it's got more armor than the Scorpius, and the Scorpius is bigger. Now, the Scorpius is also meant to be more maneuverable, right? But it also isn't. So that's so it shows you down the line at some point, this or the Scorpius is getting a rework, and this will become the clunky, slower one, but more armored one. Now, I don't know how degrees of separation there, because obviously they're all fighters, so it's probably a lot more narrow.
It'll be the Anvil one. Generally speaking, Anvil focuses on the heavy armor and lots of guns. Lots of DACA and heavy armor. That's about it. So, not really fast.
Yeah.
Arrow being the exception, but yeah.
All right, the Legionnaire.
Baby's first drop pod or drop ship. It has its point. It has its value, but it's part of a gameplay aspect that we don't know how exactly it's going to turn out. I'm going to plug my own video on it, which I did pretty recently, talking about the ship and its history, and also
appearing in a card above your head, Paul, above like me. magic.
Yes, go do that.
I'll do that for you afterwards.
And then Tree0311, who's another follower of the show, you were actually on a captain's table with him.
I was.
Did a full video talking about the boarding actions, about how boarding actions are going to work and what they're designed. And the thing that you got to know about Tree is that Tree is an actual Marine who did boarding actions in the Marines. Like that was his job. His job was to get on a boat, go into another boat, board them and raid them and stop and search them and stuff like that. So he has a little bit of experience with that sort of thing. And he talks a little bit about the whole role behind it and how the Legionnaire is designed for it. But there's still going to be some kinks to work out with this ship. So it could be amazing, especially if you're a pirate or if you're like a search and rescue teams, you want to do this sorts of things. This could be a fantastic addition. And they may even have variants, like search and rescue variants that will come out with this.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. I do think though it is so damn niche though. That's the thing. Like I like a normal, like you can see it as a combat SKU, but it's so tailored at what it does. Like I wouldn't take this to do a dogfight. Like I wouldn't.
No.
It is so like it does one thing exceptionally well, and I do think that is actually reflected in the price. I think they know how niche it is. Like when it was coming out, we were going, $200 maybe, and then it came out and it was heaps cheaper. I think that's reflected in it. And it is now officially the tallest small ship, so it fits on a size 2 pad. And it is now taller than the Freelancer. So the Freelancer held that spot for many years. The Freelancer is still the longest, but it's now shares the biggest part. So it's the tallest one.
It's fairly short. I think it's even shorter, like in terms of its size. It's even smaller than the Cutlass. It's like its footprint is very small in terms of its actual length, but its height is big. Is what it is. Like, it's got 2 decks.
It's 10 point something meters. I don't quite remember the exact metric off the top of my head, but yeah, it's definitely taller than the Freelancer.
I'll look it up real quick. But yeah.
All right. The ship that Badgers loves to rant about, the shipping ship, the Liberator, and he even said, didn't he?
Ship.
The other day, he said it the other day, didn't he? He said, I'm now going to have to question the shipping ship with the Fury being a thing. Because you could just dot this thing in Furies and fly them in, and it kind of makes sense now. You could cover this in Furies if you wanted to. It's not terrible value either if you're into something like the Hercules series, for the dollar value, because you also get to carry the 2 large vehicles plus all the additional ships, where the Hercules only carry 2 vehicles. This carries 2+ ships. And it carries almost a similar amount of cargo as well. So you are getting this at somewhat of a discount, but I think, personally, I think the Hercules is going to be better in atmosphere. This is, I don't know, you tell me, Paul. I see the Hercules more as a medium to short range, where this is like the extreme long range. This is the pyro crosser type of thing.
Here's the problem. Yes, definitely a pyro crosser. Here's the thing: in game or in their descriptions, they call it a short range transport, or like short range ferry.
Really?
And the reason, there's no beds. There's no beds for the occupants.
That's true.
It's only for the pilot and the crew, and that's very small. It's only 2 to 3 persons. I think there's 1 pilot and 2 gunners, and that's it.
I take back everything I said. I take back everything I said. Yeah.
But it is definitely a pyro crosser. It is a ferry, is what it is. Its job is to, and it's even a civilian kind of. It's designed as a civilian version. Whereas the Hercules is something you drop directly onto a battlefield.
Yep.
Like even in game, it'll be able to take on shots from AA fire and stuff like that, at least for a little bit. This thing will just fall apart if it gets too close to combat.
I also
the giant target.
I also think with the way the beds work in the Hercules series and this, I think that's designed to transport the vehicles and the people. This is really just for, that's why he calls it a shipping ship, because it is designed to move ships and vehicles, not the people necessarily. The people can come along, but they've got no creature comforts, So yeah. All right.
By the way, the Legionnaire is 32 meters long.
Yep.
And the black is
not the black, the Freelancer.
37 is the so it's smaller than the Cutlass Black. Actually, it might be a little bit the Hornet.
It's the Freelancer you want, man. The Freelancer is the one you got to put up against. But I'm pretty sure the height, and it's the height of the the Legionnaire, not the length. Height is like 10 point something, and it's
well, yeah, the
higher
height
than
is
advanced.
10.5.
Yeah,
I was thinking, but I'm thinking about like the length, because like the height matters, but the length is also means you can put it on very small pads. Like for instance, the Liberator there, you could put it on a Liberator. You could easily put a 2 of these things on the Liberator. I'm pretty sure, or close to 2.
Yes, you can.
Because it's
the Freelancer, but the Freelancer
2.
though is the longest you can put on a small pad. So that's what I'm saying. So the Freelancer is the longest in length, and the Legionnaire is the tallest in height. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Before, but yeah, it's all good. All right.
Yeah.
As you were talking about before, this Spartan, I think this is the least impressive, and it's kind of reflected in the price, because this is essentially a mobile APC. It is designed to transport.
And we already have that
in the Ursa.
We already have that in the Ursa. There's no point in this.
This is more armored than the Ursa, though, wouldn't you?
And it has more guns too, but it's just hard for me to sit here and say use the Spartan, because the Spartan may be more armored and but it has the same weapon loadout of all the other Atlas chassis with the 2 size 2 or size 3 guns. I can look that up real quickly, but it's not really a size 2 to get 2 size 2s. I think that's close to what we already have with the Ursa. It's much bigger. It takes up more space. It requires you to use a Hercules to transport it. Yeah, and it does. But the only difference is that it has, I think, 8. Yeah, it has 8 troop slots plus a pilot.
So it's a bigger version of the Ursa in almost every way, essentially. Yeah. I don't think it's the last of the Atlas platform that we'll see too. Like even in the picture here, you can see a J-Wiz turret. Like we have these in real life. So a command and control variant where the people in the back are ripped out, and it's got a
medical variant. A flatbed truck variant that's a logistical carrier, just carries 32 SCU crate when it goes around, that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100% down the line. All right, the Terrapin. I really
everyone's
love,
favorite little abandoned ship.
I think the hype killed the price on this ship, because it just seems way overpriced for this, and the Vulcan were 2 that I just think were way too high for what they do. But it'll have its renaissance as well when exploration and scanning and pinging coming back in, and they know the hype for this was really high, because that armored look that it has, there was just nothing else that people had seen. I think in a way the Legionnaire is a little bit armored like this as well, now I think about it. Would have been cool to see some similarities between the Terrapin and the Legionnaire, but we'll see given time. But yeah, I like it, but it's a hard ship to get behind in value, considering when this had been released, the Corsair hadn't been released, and it was $215. And you can get a Corsair, which is a much bigger multi. What is it, $235? I think now. So for $15 more, you're getting a much more flexible multi-cruise ship, long range. It can take a rover in it. It's got way more powerful guns.
But I think you can technically fit a C8R in it too. So you can even have it even has medical capabilities. That being said, there is a high probability we are going to get a Terrapin variant that is medical search and rescue variant.
Yeah, it
was dedicated medical.
It was in that ad at last AIE, wasn't it? You go, oh, there's that new search and rescue bit. But in one of the with Jax McCleary, one of the commercials.
Yes, it was one. It was there, and people have been asking for it for years because they thought it would be a perfect little ship for search and rescue. So I think we are almost certainly going to get one of those, and it's almost certainly going to be higher priced than this. Probably more like a $230 sort of thing. So
only because I did read up on it, I'm going to bring this up too, is I also would like to see, and I also think we might not see it now because of the Legionnaire, but there was a dropship variant of this in the lore because of its armoredness. And I could still see that, like if you, I don't know. I just like the idea.
6 seats in the thing.
Yeah. Or maybe a bit more, like it somehow connects with the Legionnaire. That'd be really cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm clasping at straws there, but yeah, we'll see. All right, the Valkyrie. I don't know. This is a hard one to love and a hard one to hate at the same time, because when it came in, it was really popular. if you are into vehicles and deploying troops, so like think of 4 Cyclones and 20 troops that fit in those Cyclones, and you're deploying like a battalion of Cyclones, that's what this is built for. But it's got some glaring oversights that I think will be fixed in when they come back around for the Gold Pass, which is mainly open any door and this thing just vents the whole ship into atmosphere. Yeah. So it is really designed as a in-atmosphere ship, though. I think that speaks to that as well. So yeah. What about you, Paul?
The other thing I will say is that if you want to transport large numbers of people, this is the best ship in the game.
Yeah,
hands down. We use it. I have an organization called the League of Relic Enthusiasts that I do, where we go out and look for those little artifacts and that are available in the abandoned outposts. And this is the ship we use all the time because it's got a relatively small footprint for landing, so it can land in most places. You can carry a vehicle if you like it, or multiple vehicles, and it can carry a ton of troops. There's lots of jump seats and stuff like that. Plus, it's got a lot of firepower for it. So it's a good ship as an organization ship, as a group play ship. I don't know if I'd sit here and go $375 is a good price for it, though, because you can also get it in game. But, you know, it's hard. It's also a hard ship to be like, hey, I'm going to go grind and get the Valkyrie, because you're not going to really use it for anything but friend stuff. So it's like...
It does.
So it's one of those weird ships.
It fits on the same size pad as a Constellation too. So it's like, I think it's a size 4. Don't quote me on that. I'm again sleep deprived, but I think it's like a size 4. It relatively, as you said, a small footprint, but it just carries so many people. It's ridiculous. But I also think because of the lack of amenities, it does show how short range it is.
It's very short range.
Yeah.
It is even the fuel is super gulpy. Like, you're not taking this into Pyro without a support ship somewhere, because it's just not a very viable option. It's not an exploration ship. It can be used for some exploration, but I would say it's very much in the same vein as the Legionnaire. But the difference is the Legionnaire is priced appropriately. This is not priced appropriately for this. This should, like all drop ships, it should be a lot cheaper than it currently is. But
every dropship does have their place, though. That's one thing we found when I was doing that with badges and SA. They all have a strength that nothing else has. So yeah. All right, back to the arrows. So we've done the full lap. Today's CCU is the Gladiator. It is in a really weird spot because recently they also did some Super Hornet ones just a little while ago. So I can't really recommend this as a CCU because most people tend to go through the Super Hornet, and so when you get to this, it's a very similar. I think it's a little lower than Super Hornet in price, so it's in a really weird spot. But you know, obviously you've got some choices here. The Mantis, the SRV. There's a lot of ships at 150 that you can go off. I'd probably say the Retaliator bomber, but also if you notice the ones I was looking at yesterday, for the, what was it? I can't remember. One of the other CC. I think it was. One of the other clips.
Was it Gladius?
There was another ships.
That was the clips.
There was no, that's not the right one because there's the base variant. But yeah, that's how sleep deprived I am. I'm stuffing everything up.
Yeah.
Long story short, it's just not in a good place. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, if it works for you, works for you. Again, you can get it for $5, and it's literally giving you a $10 saving. So that's also why it's in a weird spot, because it's not the best saving. But yeah, if it gets you $10 off a ship, get you $10 off a ship.
And as we were saying, the Gladiator is one of those ships that's like, it could have a glow up and will have its renaissance in a couple of years. So if you want to get a $5 to get the ship, which will probably go up in price down the road, and get 10 years insurance on it, I mean, basically get LTI, that's not a bad deal. But only if you're planning on doing that sort of bombing role. So
yeah, for me, I'd probably go off the base because that's one of the older ships there. I tend to look towards the older ones, like these newer ones. If you're building new chains, fine, right? But I tend to go off older ones because they've been around for longer and they haven't moved as much. So stuff like Freelancer Max would be a good one as well. So the Freelancer Max or the Bomber are probably, and this is the base variant of the Bomber. So they're the ones I'd probably look at. So yeah, but also the Retaliator is more likely to go up in price. So yeah. You got it. It's hard to hedge your bets these days. All right, we got a few more Invictus skins. One in the Hawk. This one for the Hornet, I think, is kind of showing its age because it's a little bit like the Retaliated Bomb one we talked about the other day. It just doesn't have the gold accents. So I think they might get a rewet pull. I don't know. What's your thoughts on those two?
I think they'll probably get a rework. I think a lot of the paints will end up getting their own kind of change, because right now it's super simplified kind of thing. So I think when they get down the road, we'll see more of the attention paid to cosmetics and stuff like that we just don't see right now.
So the only other ones I could find that were new were these 2 new skins for the Hurricane, which I can only classify. This is chocolate vomit camo. I don't know what else. With mint, with mint.
Yeah,
chocolate camo mint vomit. But this one I really liked. I think I'm gonna pick one up.
It's very. What does it remind me of? It reminds me of the MSR. It looks very similar to the MSR kind of base paint.
I was going to say the Carrack. You know the Carrack Expedition skin?
Yeah, I guess similar to that.
Just a bit more red.
Is really what's pulling,
a little bit
out.
Red. Yeah. And if they had got rid of the white and just had the black, I would have been in love. Yeah. But yeah, I am liking this metallic red. Obviously appeared on the Fury as well. So yeah. And then something weird I found that I wanted to bring up is if you're concierge, the skin for the STV seems to be available again. Now, unless I've never noticed that before, but usually once a concierge skin is sold at concept, it's not available again. But it was available today, so I thought I'd just bring that up because I found that very strange. And there is a couple of other concierge ones in there as well, but they're for things that I've seen before, like the Scorpius and stuff like that. So, if there's any concierge skins, the Anvil that you missed, or apparently Grain Cat for some reason, go have a look because some of them have been turned on again. It's something I haven't seen before. So, yeah, if there's some skins that you think you might have missed, go have a look. And you can always just buy them, melt them in the buyback, and they're there if you want them. So, yeah, if you've got some credit. All right, with that then, Paul, I think we're done. Yeah, it's kind of one of those days where older backers find it a bit lackluster because there's none of those big ships available like an Aegis Day or, or a new ship like the Fury. So, yeah, but the next sale in 2 days' time, 2 new things coming. So we've got that to look forward to. So I think that'll be a very popular episode next time around. Is there anything else you want to add, Paul?
I'll be doing a stream here shortly today, covering the floor on the floor, talking about the lore of all of these ships.
Yep.
So you can join me at twitch.tv/theastropub or youtube.com/theastropub live, and the VOD will be up there as well if you miss it, if you want to know a little bit more about each of these individual ships.
I have to say, let's hope I can get this uploaded in time. All right, yeah. But they are good. I actually went and joined them, and it's very good to have Paul there, and you can ask him questions as well, which is really handy. I can do that anytime, but you normal people... No, I shouldn't say normal people. That makes me sound like an elite...
normal peasants.
Yes. I shouldn't say that, but yeah. But with that, though, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want to thank us for what we do here, we really appreciate it. That's all we need is a like or subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell to get all the videos. All right, with that...
And remember at 15K we get that giveaway.
The Solian, yeah. We'll be doing the Solian giveaway if we get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of Alien Week, which is roughly it's less than a month now, but about that time.
Yeah.
All right. He's been Astropub. I've been Execute. Catch you in the next one.